Love knows no timeline. And sometimes, the deepest, most unexpected connections form between two people from entirely different stages of life. One of the most intriguing and emotionally layered dynamics is when a younger woman finds herself falling in love with an older man. It's not always about age. It's about presence, mindset, emotional depth, and the way he carries himself in a world that often celebrates noise over substance. In many cases, older men bring something that younger women don't often find in their peers: steadiness. Not just financial or professional stability, but emotional and mental grounding. They've lived through heartbreak, ambition, success, and disappointment. They've made mistakes, learned from them, and now carry those lessons with quiet confidence. It's this wisdom, earned, not borrowed, that makes them so magnetic. There's no chasing, no games, no need to impress. Their actions are intentional, their words carry weight, and their presence feels safe. For younger women who are tired of emotional immaturity, mixed signals, or superficial interactions, being with an older man can feel like stepping into peace. He listens without interruption. He gives advice without ego. He supports without demanding credit. And he brings clarity in a world full of confusion. But more than anything, he sees her, not as someone who needs to be fixed, but as someone worth investing in. He respects her independence, encourages her growth, and offers the kind of love that feels both grounding and elevating. It's not about sugar daddies or transactional dynamics. That's a shallow stereotype. Real connections between older men and younger women are built on emotional compatibility, mutual respect, and shared values. It's about how he makes her feel, not just beautiful, but understood. Not just adored, but respected. His presence doesn't overshadow her light. It helps her shine brighter. This kind of love unfolds slowly, quietly, and deeply. It's a love that isn't rushed, but rather grown, watered with patience, lit by sincerity, and rooted in wisdom. Over time, she doesn't just fall for his age or experience. She falls for how he makes her feel, safe, seen, and deeply valued. In the sections that follow, we'll explore 15 specific ways older men make younger women fall in love. Not through manipulation or performance, but through presence, maturity, and timeless authenticity. Whether you're experiencing this kind of connection, curious about it, or simply wondering why it happens so often, these insights will help illuminate the quiet, steady magic behind it all. 1. Confidence without arrogance. Confidence without arrogance is one of the most attractive traits an older man can have, especially in the eyes of a younger woman. It's a quiet strength, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself loudly or constantly seek validation. When an older man walks into a room and carries himself with assurance, not superiority, it naturally draws attention. He's not boastful. He doesn't talk over people to show how much he knows. Instead, he listens, responds thoughtfully, and makes others feel heard. That sense of calm confidence creates an emotional safety net for a younger woman, especially in a world where many are used to ego-driven interactions. He doesn't need to compete or compare. He already knows who he is. That level of self-awareness can be deeply comforting. A younger woman might find herself opening up more, feeling like she can be herself without judgment, simply because the man in front of her isn't trying to outshine her, but instead makes space for her light. His confidence shows in how he respects her opinions, supports her dreams, and never diminishes her voice. It's also seen in the little things, how he makes decisions with clarity, how he handles conflict with maturity, how he holds eye contact with sincerity. She can trust him not because he says she should, but because his actions, energy, and presence speak louder than his words. Unlike arrogance, which demands attention, confidence naturally earns respect. And that difference is powerful. It tells her, I've been through enough to know who I am, and I see you clearly, too. In that moment, she doesn't just fall for his age or wisdom. She falls for the quiet, steady way he makes her feel valued, secure, and truly seen. 2. Emotional maturity. Emotional maturity is often what sets older men apart, and it's one of the key reasons younger women find themselves falling in love. Unlike impulsive or emotionally reactive partners, a man with emotional maturity knows how to navigate feelings with grace and depth. He doesn't avoid tough conversations or shut down when things get intense. Instead, he leans in calmly, listens without interrupting, and responds without judgment. This creates a safe emotional space where the woman feels seen, respected, and understood. He doesn't play games, doesn't punish with silence, and doesn't use manipulation to get his way. Instead, he communicates clearly and takes accountability for his actions. He knows that love isn't just about romance and attraction. It's about trust, patience, and empathy. Emotional maturity allows him to support his partner not just during the highs, but also during her most vulnerable lows. For a younger woman, this kind of presence is grounding. It shows her that she's not alone in navigating life's emotional complexities. He doesn't dismiss her feelings or make her feel too much. He encourages her to express herself freely. And when she does, he listens with intention. He offers advice when needed, but more often, he simply offers understanding, the kind that comes from life experience and personal growth. This maturity also reflects in how he handles disagreements. He doesn't shout or storm out. He remains calm, even when challenged. He focuses on resolving, not winning. That kind of emotional steadiness creates a deep sense of security and respect. It shows her that she's with someone who's emotionally present and committed, not just someone who loves her in words, but someone who can hold space for her heart in the real, imperfect moments of life. And that kind of love is unforgettable. 3. Deep, meaningful conversations. Deep, meaningful conversations are one of the most powerful ways older men connect with younger women on an emotional and intellectual level. It's not just about talking. It's about the kind of dialogue that makes her feel understood, valued, and mentally stimulated. While younger men may focus on surface-level topics or casual banter, an older man often brings depth to the table. He asks thoughtful questions. He listens with genuine curiosity. He doesn't just wait for his turn to speak. He responds in a way that makes her feel like her thoughts truly matter. These conversations often go beyond the everyday. They touch on dreams, fears, childhood experiences, personal growth, and even life's bigger questions. And in those moments, a young woman realizes she's not just being heard, she's being seen. An older man's ability to reflect, to connect ideas from different parts of life, and to share stories with purpose can make her feel inspired and safe all at once. He isn't afraid to be vulnerable, either. He doesn't shy away from talking about past mistakes or emotional scars. Instead of hiding his history, he uses it as a bridge, a way to connect, relate, and grow together. That honesty builds trust. And in return, she opens up too. The more they talk, the more they uncover, not just about each other, but about themselves. That's when love starts to root itself, quietly but deeply. There's something incredibly intimate about late-night talks that feel like time doesn't exist. When two souls connect, unfiltered and without masks. Older men who know how to create those moments often leave a lasting impression. For a younger woman, it's not just romantic, it's transformational. She doesn't just fall for his words, she falls for the world he creates through them. 4. Providing a sense of security. Providing a sense of security isn't just about money or physical protection. It's about emotional, mental, and even spiritual steadiness. Older men often excel in this area because they've lived through enough challenges to know how to offer calm in the middle of a storm. For a younger woman, this kind of reliability becomes magnetic. When she's with him, she feels safe, not just in her environment, but in her emotions, her thoughts, and her choices. She doesn't have to second-guess his intentions or walk on eggshells around his moods. He is consistent, grounded, and dependable. This sense of security shows up in subtle ways. The way he handles conflict without shouting, the way he respects her boundaries, or how he reassures her when she feels uncertain. It's in the way he shows up when he says he will, how he remembers the small things she said weeks ago, or how he responds calmly when she expresses doubts or fears. She feels protected, not because he tries to control her, but because he gives her the freedom to be herself, fully, fearlessly, and without apology. An older man who offers this emotional safety becomes a safe haven. He becomes the one she runs to when the world feels too loud. His presence is soothing. His words are calming. His silence, even, is peaceful. He doesn't add to her stress. He helps her breathe through it. And in doing so, he creates an invisible foundation beneath the relationship, one that feels steady even when life gets shaky. When a younger woman feels secure with someone, her guard naturally drops. She starts to invest more of her heart, because she knows it's in good hands. That kind of security isn't something you can fake. It's built through experience, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. And when an older man offers that, love doesn't just happen. It grows strong, deep, and lasting. 5. Respecting her independence. Respecting her independence is one of the most attractive and meaningful things an older man can do to win a younger woman's heart. He doesn't try to control her, fix her, or mold her into someone she's not. Instead, he admires her strength, her dreams, and her individuality. While some may feel threatened by a woman's independence, an emotionally mature man sees it as a beautiful part of who she is, something to celebrate, not suppress. This makes her feel deeply respected and valued, not just as a partner, but as a person. He doesn't hover, question her every move, or make her feel guilty for having her own goals. He encourages her passions, supports her ambitions, and trusts her decisions. When she wants to spend time alone, he honors it. When she speaks her mind, he listens. When she takes the lead, he steps back with confidence, not because he's passive, but because he knows love doesn't mean control. This kind of respect becomes a breath of fresh air for a younger woman who may be used to others trying to save her, silence her, or make her feel small. An older man's ability to respect her space shows her that love can be both close and freeing. It says, "I'm here, but I won't hold you back." And in a world where so many relationships are built on insecurity or control, that kind of balance feels rare and irresistible. Respecting her independence also means recognizing that she brings her own strengths to the relationship. He doesn't feel the need to dominate every decision or always have a last word. Instead, he sees them as equals, different in age, perhaps, but aligned in respect. And when a woman feels both free and loved in a relationship, she doesn't just fall for the man. She trusts him with her whole heart. That's when love becomes not just passionate, but empowering. 6. Thoughtful gestures. Thoughtful gestures have a quiet power, and older men often master them in ways that feel sincere, deep, and unforgettable. It's not always about grand romantic acts or expensive gifts. Sometimes, it's the way he remembers how she takes her coffee, or the song she mentioned once in passing. It's sending her a message before a big meeting, showing up when she least expects it but needs it most, or giving her a book that reminds him of his spirit. These small, intentional acts speak volumes. I see you. I hear you. I remember what matters to you. Younger women often find themselves drawn to that kind of attentiveness because it feels rare. In a fast-paced world full of distractions and surface-level interactions, a man who slows down enough to notice the little things becomes someone special. An older man's thoughtful gestures aren't performative. They come from a place of genuine care. They are rooted in experience, in knowing that love isn't just spoken, but shown. These moments build emotional intimacy. A warm scarf left at her door on a cold morning. A handwritten note slipped into her bag. An old recipe he cooks just because she once said she missed home. These aren't random acts. They're reflections of someone who's paying attention. And for a younger woman, that kind of emotional detail feels like being chosen again and again. What makes it even more meaningful is that he doesn't expect praise or recognition. He gives without asking. He gives because he wants to, not to prove anything. And that kind of quiet giving creates a steady flame, something she starts to depend on, even if she doesn't realize it at first. Over time, those thoughtful gestures become a language between them, one that says, "You matter," every day. And for many, that's the kind of love worth falling into. 7. Mentorship and wisdom. Mentorship and wisdom naturally flow from older men who have lived, learned, and grown through the many seasons of life. For a younger woman, this isn't about seeking a teacher. It's about finding someone who offers guidance without superiority, shares life lessons without preaching, and gently helps her see the bigger picture when things feel uncertain. An older man who carries wisdom doesn't claim to have all the answers. He simply knows how to ask the right questions and how to help her discover her own truth. His mentorship shows in how he responds to her struggles. Instead of brushing off her worries, he takes the time to understand them. He shares his own stories, not to compare, but to connect. He offers perspective, not pressure, and that guidance feels safe because it's never forceful. It's rooted in care. In those moments, she begins to see him not just as a partner, but as someone who genuinely wants to see her thrive. There's something magnetic about a man who knows how to handle life with grace. His calm in chaos, his lessons learned from failure, his ability to navigate relationships, career, loss, and growth, it all becomes a quiet source of inspiration. He teaches without trying. He leads by living, and that naturally invites a younger woman to learn, grow, and become more confident in herself. This kind of wisdom also builds trust. She knows she can lean on him during hard decisions, not for control, but for clarity. He doesn't judge her mistakes. He helps her reflect and grow from them. That emotional safety builds something deeper than just romance. It builds a foundation of respect. And when love is built on respect, growth, and shared learning, it doesn't just feel exciting, it feels meaningful. Through mentorship and wisdom, the older man doesn't just become someone she loves. He becomes someone who helps her love herself more deeply. 8. Knowing how to listen. Knowing how to listen is one of the most underestimated yet powerful traits that older men often bring into a relationship, and it's something younger women deeply appreciate. In a world filled with people waiting for their turn to speak, a man who truly listens stands out like a quiet lighthouse in a storm. He doesn't interrupt, rush, or dismiss her feelings. Instead, he creates space for her words. He gives her time, presence, and attention, not just hearing what she says, but understanding what she means. When an older man listens, he does so with intention. His eyes meet hers. His body language shows openness. He doesn't look at his phone or glance away distractedly. He listens with his whole being, and that tells her she matters. She feels validated, respected, and emotionally safe. Her thoughts aren't treated as noise. They are treated as valuable. And in that safety, she opens up more, speaks more, trusts more. This kind of listening builds emotional intimacy. She doesn't feel the need to defend herself or prove her worth. She knows she's being seen in full, even in the messy, uncertain, or complicated parts of her. And that allows her to let down her guard. She begins to feel understood on a level she might not have experienced before. That connection doesn't come from constant talking. It grows quietly through deep listening. Older men often know that solutions aren't always needed. Sometimes, just being there, just staying present, is enough. They've learned that silence, when paired with presence, can be healing. They respond thoughtfully, not reactively. They ask, "Do you want advice, or just someone to hear you?" And that question alone can melt walls. In the end, love grows where understanding lives. And understanding begins with listening. When a younger woman finds a man who listens not just with his ears, but with his heart, she doesn't just feel heard, she feels cherished. 9. Avoiding drama and games. Avoiding drama and games is one of the most calming and attractive qualities an older man brings into a relationship. And it's a breath of fresh air for a younger woman who may be used to unpredictability, mixed signals, or emotional immaturity. He doesn't disappear for attention. He doesn't create jealousy to feel desired. He doesn't say one thing and do another. Instead, he brings clarity, intention, and peace into the connection. There's no second-guessing with him. No emotional roller coasters. Just honesty, consistency, and respect. He communicates directly. If something bothers him, he talks about it calmly. If he likes her, he says so, without playing hard to get. He doesn't create unnecessary conflict just to test her loyalty or provoke a reaction. His energy is stable, not chaotic, and that sense of calm allows her to relax into the relationship rather than constantly question it. Younger women often find this lack of drama incredibly attractive because it shows maturity and emotional control. An older man knows that love doesn't need to be turbulent to be real. He's experienced enough to know that drama might spark temporary passion, but it rarely builds lasting connection. So instead, he chooses peace over power struggles, clarity over confusion. When she's with him, she feels emotionally safe. She doesn't have to decode his actions or chase after his attention. There's no manipulation, no mind games, and no need to compete for his presence. And because of that, she can just be herself, fully, honestly, and without fear. In this calm space, love grows slowly but deeply. It doesn't burn out like a wild flame. It warms like a steady fire. A man who avoids drama doesn't just offer love, he offers peace. And in today's fast-paced world, that kind of emotional peace isn't just desirable, it's unforgettable. 10. Expressing genuine interest in her goals. Expressing genuine interest in her goals is a powerful way an older man makes a younger woman feel truly seen. Not just admired, but respected for who she is and who she's becoming. He doesn't just listen politely when she talks about her dreams. He leans in, asks questions, remembers the details, and celebrates every milestone, big or small. He's not threatened by her ambition. In fact, he finds it inspiring. He supports it fully, not as a way to impress her, but because he believes in her. For a younger woman, that kind of encouragement feels rare and deeply meaningful. So many people might dismiss her dreams as unrealistic or tell her to slow down. But an older man who's walked his own path knows how powerful belief can be. Instead of offering criticism or competition, he offers perspective. Instead of telling her what to do, he asks, "How can I help you get there?" That question alone can shift everything. He sees her not just as a romantic partner, but as a whole person with her own direction, purpose, and identity. He doesn't try to take over her journey. He walks beside her, cheering her on, offering advice when asked, and holding space for both her fears and her ambition. This creates a unique kind of emotional connection, where love and respect intertwine. Over time, she starts to feel more confident in her path, not because he's carrying her, but because she knows someone truly believes in her. He celebrates her wins without making them about himself. And in her losses, he reminds her of her strength without judgment. That kind of genuine support builds trust, loyalty, and admiration. In a world where many relationships can feel self-centered or transactional, a man who supports her goals for no reason other than love stands out. She doesn't just fall for him, she flourishes with him. And that shared growth becomes a foundation for something much deeper than attraction. It becomes partnership. 11. Stability in career and mindset. Stability in career and mindset is one of the most grounding qualities older men often bring into a relationship. And for a younger woman, it can feel like stepping into calm after years of chaos. It's not just about having a high-paying job or a fancy title. It's about consistency, discipline, and a clear sense of direction. An older man who's stable in his career shows that he has put in the work, learned from failure, and found a place where he can lead his life with confidence. He's not chasing approval or jumping from dream to dream. He knows who he is, and that quiet certainty is magnetic. This kind of stability extends beyond work. It's reflected in how he thinks, how he handles pressure, and how he approaches the future. He doesn't panic in uncertain situations. He doesn't make impulsive decisions or act on emotion. Instead, he pauses, reflects, and chooses with intention. That mental and emotional steadiness makes a younger woman feel safe, not because he controls everything, but because he knows how to stay calm when life gets unpredictable. A man with a stable mindset doesn't just think about short-term fun. He considers long-term impact. He talks about goals, not gossip. He builds, not breaks. He brings clarity into situations that feel overwhelming, and that allows her to breathe a little deeper, to dream a little bigger, and to trust that the relationship isn't built on temporary excitement but lasting support. What makes it even more powerful is that he doesn't use his stability to dominate or impress. He uses it to nurture. He's not proving his worth through status. He's sharing the wisdom and steadiness is earned. And when a woman realizes she's with someone who won't just walk beside her through the highs but will also stay grounded through the lows, her heart opens, not just out of admiration, but out of deep trust. That's when love doesn't just begin, it grows roots. 12. Protectiveness without control. Protectiveness without control is a delicate balance, and older men often know how to walk that line with grace and intention. For a younger woman, it's comforting to be with someone who looks out for her well-being without making her feel small or powerless. He's not possessive. He's not trying to own her, change her, or monitor her every move. Instead, his protectiveness shows through presence, awareness, and silent strength. He stands beside her, not in front of her, ready to support, not dominate. This kind of protectiveness is felt in the way he checks in after a long day, how he walks her to her car without making a scene, or how he notices when she's uncomfortable and quietly steps in. It's in his ability to create an environment where she feels safe, emotionally, physically, and mentally, not because she's incapable, but because he genuinely cares. And care, when given with respect, builds trust. An older man knows that real love doesn't demand control, it offers freedom. He doesn't get jealous over her independence or try to limit who she talks to, where she goes, or how she dresses. He trusts her choices, and because of that, she feels even more drawn to him. His confidence in her creates emotional safety, not fear-based security. There's power in being with someone who can protect without suffocating. It makes her feel supported, not managed. And in a world where many confuse love with ownership, a man who protects her peace while honoring her power becomes someone unforgettable. She falls for him not just because he's strong, but because he's strong enough to let her be. That quiet protection, rooted in love and trust, doesn't cage her, it frees her. And in that freedom, she blooms. With him, she feels both cherished and respected, and that's where real love lives. 13. Making her feel seen and valued. Making her feel seen and valued is one of the most powerful and lasting ways an older man captures a younger woman's heart. It goes beyond compliments or grand gestures. It's about noticing the little things, the way her voice softens when she's unsure, the way her eyes light up when she talks about her dreams, or how she stays silent when something's bothering her. He pays attention not just to what she says, but to what she doesn't. And in doing so, he shows her, "You matter. I'm here. I see you." An older man doesn't just look at her. He looks into her. He acknowledges her efforts, her thoughts, her uniqueness. He doesn't make her feel like she has to earn his attention. She already has it. When she speaks, he listens without distraction. When she shares, he doesn't dismiss or downplay. Instead, he reflects, responds, and uplifts. And slowly, she begins to feel safe enough to show her full self, not just the confident parts, but also the fragile ones. In a world where people often feel invisible or overlooked, being truly seen is a rare gift. And when a man treats her with that kind of intentional care, she begins to see herself differently too. Stronger, brighter, more deserving of love. His validation isn't shallow or performative. It's rooted in respect, in attention, and in real emotional presence. She doesn't feel like an afterthought or a decoration. She feels like a partner, a person, a soul worth knowing deeply. And through that recognition, her heart opens. She connects not just because he's kind, but because he values her essence, the parts of her that many others miss. That kind of love feels safe, empowering, and honest. And once a woman feels truly seen, she doesn't just fall in love, she flourishes in it. 14. Patience and understanding. Patience and understanding are quiet superpowers, and older men often carry them with ease, shaped by years of life experience and emotional growth. For a younger woman, this presence can feel like a deep exhale, a space where she's allowed to be fully human, without pressure to be perfect or polished all the time. He doesn't rush her into decisions. He doesn't push her to react quickly or change who she is. Instead, he gives her time to grow, to feel, to speak, and to unfold in her own way. When she's overwhelmed, he doesn't criticize. He listens. When she's unsure, he offers clarity without judgment. When she makes mistakes, he doesn't shame her. He helps her reflect. That steady emotional response becomes a form of comfort, a gentle reminder that love doesn't have to be chaotic to be real. It can be patient, kind, and present. His understanding shows in how he handles her moods, her silences, and even her fears. He doesn't label her as too emotional or too complicated. Instead, he welcomes her complexity. He sees the layers, and he honors them. That acceptance allows her to let her guard down, to be vulnerable without fear of being misunderstood. With patience, he nurtures the relationship instead of forcing it to meet timelines or expectations. He knows meaningful connections take time and is willing to wait, not because he's passive, but because he knows her heart is worth it. He's not trying to fix her, he's trying to understand her. And that effort, slow, consistent, and full of empathy, creates a safe foundation where love can grow without fear. In a world that moves fast and expects instant results, a man who is patient and understanding feels like home. He shows her that real love isn't about control or speed, it's about presence. And when she feels that presence, she doesn't just fall for him, she rests in him. 15. Knowing how to romance with class. Knowing how to romance with class is something that naturally sets older men apart. Not because they try harder, but because they know better. Their approach to love isn't loud or showy, but deeply intentional. They don't rely on flashy displays to impress. Instead, they focus on creating moments that are thoughtful, elegant, and sincere. A handwritten note tucked into a book. A candlelit dinner where the music is soft and the conversation is rich. A quiet weekend getaway planned around her favorite things. It's not about spending extravagantly. It's about making her feel chosen in ways that are timeless and meaningful. An older man understands that romance isn't just about flowers or compliments. It's about how he makes her feel in the quiet spaces. He opens doors, walks on the traffic side of the street, notices when she's cold and offers his coat. These gestures aren't performative. They are part of who he is. And that natural grace leaves a lasting impression. He also knows how to make her feel beautiful, not just by how she looks, but for who she is. He compliments her mind, her strength, her laugh. He's not afraid to express emotion, and he doesn't shy away from making her feel cherished, even in the smallest ways. Whether it's pulling out a chair, choosing a playlist that reminds him of her, or remembering the exact way she takes her tea, he's paying attention. And perhaps most importantly, he romances without pressure. He allows the connection to breathe, to unfold. He's not trying to rush intimacy or win affection. He simply creates space for love to grow with dignity. That kind of classy romance feels safe, sincere, and rare. For a younger woman, it's refreshing to experience romance that's built on elegance, respect, and emotional presence. It feels like poetry, the kind that lingers long after the moment ends. And in that space, she doesn't just feel loved, she feels treasured.